Welcome to SoMo Garage, bringing you the latest racing news, sim racing talk, driver chat, and highlights from the SoMo Racing Leagues with SoMo Racing League drivers. Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Get ready for 1 hour of kicking the tires in the SoMo Garage with your hosts, Aaron Reilly and Paul Zotta. SoMo Garage starts right now.
Four races since we've last been on. How's it going for you, Joe?
Not too bad. I think I got a win in there somewhere and a third place finish with a completely torn up race car last week. So not too bad. I mean, still a long way to go through the season, but so far things are on the upswing. That's kind of good news for me, I guess. How's you guys' season going?
You don't want to know about mine, man. I'm ready to quit. I'm so frustrated. But I don't know. I don't really get to race all that much anymore, so it's kind of tough. But man, it's a struggle anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's the normal so far this season, just ups and downs. I think probably my best finish in the Cup Series came last week at New Hampshire. I ended up finishing second, so led 25 laps, which was kind of cool. So Um, just a lot of wrecks, I'm getting dumped. It seems like on a regular basis. So it just kind of things are out of my way, either that or just unavoidable things, people wrecking in front of me and just taking me out. But it is what it is. It's racing, so it's bound to turn around someday. But got to keep your head up and move forward.
I think
Well,
Steven's the
maybe.
only one having a good time here.
What's that?
I said I think Steven's the only one that's been having a really good time. He's been doing good in the what do you call it, the open races?
NIS Open. Yeah, I've been having actually some pretty good success there. Hopefully, it doesn't fall off now. I mean, I've had 6 weeks of top fives, so.
That's pretty good. So Joe, you got what, 2 wins in the Cup Series now?
Yes, sir. I think I won the Coca-Cola 600, or what would have been the Coca-Cola 600 in real life. I forget the name of it now. And I won it at Kentucky a couple weeks ago.
That's awesome, man. That's got to feel good going into the chase, knowing that you're going to be that much ahead already. I mean, compared to some of these guys, I know some of these guys have multiple wins, so it'll be good to be up there with them and definitely reset in a good way.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I mean, it's my second season here. I came in halfway through last year. I was able to. I think I got a win in the Cup Series last year, but through not having enough races, I wasn't eligible for the chase. So I think I got some wins in the Truck Series, or I have a win, and I'm just trying to get a win in all three. I'd really like to make all three chase seasons this year. That'd be pretty awesome.
So what do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like if you don't start the chase with a win, are you just pretty much just going to ride it out and just hope you have some good luck along the way, but probably pretty much know in the back of your mind you're not going to be able to get the championship, or do you have the mentality that anything can happen, anything can change just in the blink of an eye?
I I think this season, I know last season I made it into the chase on points and was able to get out of, I think, get the first round and I'm pretty sure I got into the second round. But I think without a win, if you're really not up in the front all the time, every race, and which I haven't been this season, I may get into the first round with, on points, being in the top 16, but I don't think that's going to be enough to keep me there.
I'll admit, last year in the chase, there were times, I didn't get a win all season, and there were times I had a notepad next to me with drivers that I needed to beat to make it to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
And one would wreck, and I just check it off. And the other one would wreck, and I just check it off.
I think the only chase I was eligible for last year was the Xfinity series, and I had a lot of really good runs, and I don't know, man, those last 10 races are just crazy. Anything could happen. Actually, at Talladega, I had a car flip like 20 feet in the air and land on top of me at Talladega, and so it knocked me out of the chase. Like I said, anything could happen. You just got to be at the right place at the right time. I think it's all about opportunity, and you need a lot of luck to make it through all that.
Yeah, I think it's just like anything. The drivers that run good in the regular season are going to run good in the chase, unless they just have a bunch of just bad luck. But usually, just like NASCAR, the cream rises to the top, and the top teams or the top drivers continue to run up front. But it basically limits you to a bad race or two. You in the regular season, the guy that's leading the points could have wrecked out of a few races where that's where it starts getting out of the question. You got to be on your game all the time, try to avoid the wrecks, finish the races, gain as many points as you can. So that's where it becomes tough, because a lot of guys, especially in SoMo, that run up front aren't necessarily consistent. They can get involved in wrecks or wreck themselves or whatever. So I think in SoMo, in my opinion, there's a better chance, even if you don't have a win going in, that you could there's a way where you could turn it around and possibly make it to the final in at Homestead. So I think it's gonna be interesting going forward to see how it all works out. But it's definitely gonna be exciting, that's for sure.
One thing I noticed, and we've talked about it, in prior shows with the cup car setups and everything like that. For a while there, the cup cars were really out of control. They felt, very plasticky, plastic wheels, as you said many times. I got to run. I usually don't get to run the Xfinity cars on Wednesday nights. And I got to run Wednesday night in them for the first time in ages. And I was really surprised at how different they feel. And then Thursday night, we ran in the cup car at the same track. And the cup car seems much more, more grippy, or, like it's more connected with the track. It feels like whatever they did in that last build, they brought the cup car back to where it, we were kind of used to when we first got on here, man. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I think they've done a lot of things that really helped out. Just reading all the release notes and all the stuff that they changed, and the tire models and the way the dynamic track works and everything, I think it just makes the cars feel so much more connected. And I think that's a lot of the reason the early part of the season this year, I was struggling really bad.
Sorry.
I was struggling really bad at the beginning of the season. And they started doing some updates and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, it kind of brought the cars back to life. It makes it more fun to drive. There's a lot more hard battles going on the track now, it seems.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think the Cup car has definitely come a lot farther than the Xfinity car, and I don't know if it's the Xfinity car dynamics or the or the setups just aren't right yet. But the setup for the Xfinity race at New Hampshire was just it was pretty awful. I mean, there's no way around it. The Cup car, the setup for that was 100 times better, and it made for a lot better racing, in my opinion. So, I think going forward, I think they're heading in the right direction. But I really feel like the Xfinity side of it really needs some more work.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that series in general, it just seems like it's always been tougher. You don't really get guys that run away from the pack. You know what I mean? The cars have. I just think that no one really liked the way that they handle. They always felt super tight and not really connected, and it's just like everyone was always grouped up all the time. So you see all these huge crashes and takes out half the field. And I'd really like to see them make some more changes and updates to that.
How do you feel about the super speedways and the package they have with the Cup car and the Xfinity car right now? Do you feel like that's on point, or do you feel like that still needs some work too?
I hate it. I mean, I don't know what it is about this year, but in the Cup cars, and I noticed it even more in the Xfinity cars, on super speedways, you're snapping loose. And never before have I seen going into 3 the back end just come out.
Yeah. I feel like that happens, and also I don't feel like the package is right where they draft. I don't feel like they're drafting right. I don't feel like from what you could see on TV compared to what we deal with. I just feel like it's they can make passes on the racetrack, and utilize the top lane or the bottom lane. And in most cases, we can't. It's just like you get right up to the front, and then that lane stalls out, and vice versa. So it's just like it's really hard to make a pass with the package they have now. Not a big fan of it at all. I really hope they work on that, where at least it becomes a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the Daytona 500, or you watch, races at Talladega, and those guys are too wide for a majority of the race. And on iRacing right now, you're seeing right at the start, it goes single file basically. And you're not getting that 2-lane battle for a couple laps or even 5-10 laps. You're getting it to where a majority of the field's down on the bottom side right away, and you're getting those guys who maybe stuck on the high side, if they start outside front row, they're dropping all the way back to 15th right away.
Yeah, and I think I read a while back they released some info that they were getting information, or they signed with some other company about fluid dynamics, and just trying to get the air model right, like for all the drafting and everything. I think a lot of the issue with trying to there's no side draft really. It's not really effective in the sense that you can't slow somebody down enough to make a pass on the outside. So hopefully they get some work done in that department. I think a lot of it is just aerodynamics. It's just not right, and it makes the racing kind of crappy.
Yeah, for lack of words.
Exactly. So, well, I mean, that's I'm glad we got everybody's opinion on that. I think it's I think they have some work to do, but definitely heading in the right direction. iRacing is for sure. Definitely gotten a lot better since Daytona. That's for sure. So, all right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back, and we're gonna talk some NASCAR.
Security in this office park is a joke. Last year I came to work with my spud gun in a duffel bag. I sat at my desk all day with a rifle that shoots potatoes at 60 pounds per square inch. Can you imagine if I was deranged?
Do more and stay active with O2 Dermaleaf, the ache and pain relief gel like no other. No smell, no tingling sensation, and no greasy feel. O2 Dermaleaf is a natural pain relief for everyday aches, pains, bumps, and bruises. Oxygen is the secret. It's the natural way to relieve and revitalize. Your joints, muscles, and skin need oxygen to thrive, and O2 Dermaleaf delivers a rich supply of molecular oxygen in a new, state-of-the-art formula. Every day we hear new stories of pain relief from satisfied customers. Shouldn't you try O2 Dermaleaf too? Score a $5 discount on your purchase of O2 Dermaleaf. Visit O2Dermaleaf.com and use promo code SOMO999. That's the letter O, the number 2, Dermaleaf.com, and enter SOMO999 to get your $5 discount.
Now back to your host.
Quarters 3, intruder alert. GQ3, intruder alert.
You've been warned.
All right, we're back live here at SoMo Garage. So, I guess a good story coming out of NASCAR is Eric Almirola was cleared to return to competition, and he's been sidelined for the past, I think it was 8 weeks now, and he is back, and he basically said that, in his opinion, like, things have gotten kind of routine over the past 6 years that he's been racing in, NASCAR's Premier Series, and being away from the car has kind of shown him that how much he really misses and loves racing. So, how can you guys relate that to, what we do? I know I can. I know, if I go on vacation or I step away from, the wheel for a week or two, I'm ready to go back racing. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, it's not a huge secret that I've had a lot of health issues and a lot of crap going on lately, and I don't really get to be on here quite as much as I would like. And I even went out last Friday to a dirt track race just to get out and actually see some real, like, on track racing, and I don't know, it gives me more drive to want to come back and do it. It just, I don't know. Once racing is in you, I think it's really hard to not want to go back. And I think you saw similar stories with Tony Stewart and his injury a couple years ago. Kyle Busch, same thing. I think they got to see the sport from a completely different perspective, and it made him want to get back in the car and that much more driven. So I'm kind of curious to see if he steps his game up a little bit and we start to see some better performance out of him.
Yeah, like instead of being complacent and just kind of driving around, like maybe now go back and hunt for a win, and I think that's pretty cool. I know with me, like, I took the last week off to go on vacation, and honestly, in past years, it really, taking a week off or 2 weeks off to go away or go do something, man, was like, it was rough. I missed racing, but I think with my mindset right now, I only race one night a week. A couple of the other nights I'm broadcasting, so I'm not really racing, and I wasn't really sure how I was gonna enjoy broadcasting, but I really enjoy it. I really like doing it now that I've gotten comfortable with it, and so like I all through the week of not doing anything, man, I was in my mind thinking like, man, maybe I'll just stop racing for a while and just broadcast, and I was talking to Joe earlier today about that, and I was like, it's funny because last year at the same time I wouldn't even have considered a thought like that, but I guess last year I felt I was doing better than I am this year, so I that's probably what is the driving force behind it.
Yeah, I hope his wreck hasn't changed his mindset at all. I know when certain drivers have gone through things like that, it kind of come back a little timid, but he seems to be in the right mindset. He seems to be really happy and comfortable back in the car, and I know they said they did some improvements to his seat to help his posture in the car, you know. But you got to be really careful with that. I mean, a broken back is nothing to mess with, and he definitely doesn't want to re-injure himself going forward. So hopefully, hopefully he can put together some good solid finishes and make the top 30. It would take him making the top 30, and I think getting cleared by NASCAR to compete in the chase if he was able to. But it's not out of the question. But I guess we'll see here in a few weeks going forward what happens.
And you know what's scary though? Like you say, it's a back injury, And I remember when he first, was diagnosed afterwards, and they were saying how close it was, and if he gets another injury like that, like it could paralyze him. I know he wants to get back in the car, but he's a young guy. You have to think about it. I mean, maybe he's afraid to take the rest of the season off because he may not have a ride next year. Because rides are hard to come by. But I'd be a little bit skeptical about stepping back into a car because it doesn't have to be you, and we see it even in iRacing. You could be driving, minding your own business, and get caught in it. I'd hate to see something happen.
That never happens.
Yeah.
I think too, whenever there's a major injury now, I think that everyone kind of compares it to Dale Jr. in his situation. Is how many hard hits do you want to take before you look at the whole situation and say, I want to leave racing on my own terms. They don't want the decision to be made for them by a doctor or by something really bad happening. So I just think there's always going to be that level of just, I don't want to say that they're scared, but it's got to be in the back of their mind that, their next wreck could be the last one.
Yeah, that's very true. You never know. It's a dangerous sport, and they know the risks going in, and it's really scary to see stuff like that happen, especially in today's age of NASCAR, where everything is you want to say it's as safe as possible, but it's never as safe as possible because there's always going to be another scenario that wasn't ever thought of that injures somebody or worse, and it's like they say, it's a consistently evolving sport. So safety is obviously the number one priority. But shifting gears a little bit, guys, Brent Dewar was named new NASCAR president, and this is how much I'm behind. I still thought Mike Helton was the president, and I had no idea that he was promoted in 2015. So that just shows how much I don't pay attention to that side of it. But kind of interesting story.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either. So I must not pay good enough attention to the official side of it.
Yeah, not really much to touch on there, but moving forward, Dale Jr. chimed in on a podcast this week about what he thinks NASCAR could possibly do to make these cars be a little bit more I don't want to say easier to handle, but more competitive, I guess is a better way to put it. And he's been complaining about that front splitter, and ever since they introduced that, it just seems like these cars are limited to what they could do on the racetrack. Do you guys think that the drivers will always have something to complain about with these cars? I really do, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think the guys who finished between second and 40th are always going to have something to complain about. I've talked about this a lot in the past with other people, and when they introduced the car tomorrow, and that was the first generation car to have the splitter, everybody hated it. Everyone said the car sucked. They didn't handle right, and they continually kept changing the front end designs and trying to change the splitters and making them smaller. And I always said that the racing would be better if they put more airflow under the car and basically make the cars drive worse necessarily. I think the splitter with the rear spoiler being so short and having the front splitter, the cars aren't balanced properly. There's too much front downforce, and you always hear guys say it's so tight, it's tight, it's tight, and I think it's because of the splitter. And if you would let the air flow under the car and actually like just release some of the air being stuck under there, and the turbulent air behind the cars makes the cars handle so much better, and it would create more competitive racing like we saw before the car tomorrow was introduced.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
You know, I've always said, even in the past, before the splitter was an issue, it seemed like NASCAR always wanted to limit the amount of travel these cars had. You know, so they started building these setups to race on bump stops. And you know, I mean, the car goes in the corner, bam, it's on the it's basically at a rest as low as it can go. You know what I mean? So that's really you're limiting what the car can do at that point. Where if they got it off the ground, um, didn't limit the travel of these cars, I think you would see a ton of better racing out there. You would see, you know, instead of 5 lead changes, you'd probably see 15. You know, it's just they need to get to that point. But and you would think that they would jump on that because that's what the fans want to see. They want to see competitive racing. They want to see passes. Not one guy go out there and, you know, dominate 3/4 of, you know, one race or win 2 out of the 3 segments. I mean, that's not what anybody wants to see.
You know, maybe I'm way off on it, but what I kind of see is they're probably going to end up going that way because, you know, there's been a lot of talk about that. A lot of guys have been saying, you know, let's go back to a front bumper and everything. But I think with some of the wrecks that we've seen, especially at Daytona, with the cars flying up in the air and, you know, almost going through the fence and over the fence, and I think they're probably having a hard time figuring a way to keep these cars on the ground. You know, if you let that much air get underneath, you know, and I mean that's just something that I think, and you know, I'm not an engineer or anything, so I could be way off base, but you know, it'd be nice to see him go back to that front bumper, but I think their main concern right now is keeping that car down.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think back into the past, I think the last 2 that actually went airborne and hit the catch fence was Todd Bodine, or Jeff Bodine, one of the 2 in the truck series when he hit the fence. And there's one more, Bobby Allison, but that was way back in the early 90s or late 80s. So I think they've come a long way with the roof flaps, the cow flaps, everything to keep the cars down. I really think if they got rid of the front splitter, like I think the open for the All-Star race is a good example of that could have been a really good 3-car battle at the end of that race when Eric Jones clipped the grass and completely destroyed the front end of his car because the splitter caught the grass. If they didn't have the splitter, that could have been an awesome finish. I think that's a really good example of that.
Well, don't forget about Austin Dillon last year. He got into the catch fence pretty hard and ripped the whole front end of his car off. And before that, I think it was Carl Edwards that had a really nasty wreck years ago into the catch fence, which actually injured some people in the crowd. So they're still getting up in the air, but Paul did bring up a good point. In the recent, with these cars the way they are now, it seems like they'll go up a little bit and come right back down again. So they are able to, you know, blow open those holes pretty quick when they start going up in the air and set them back down on the ground. But you know, these cars are still the same as they were last year when Austin Dillon went into the fence. So, you know, I think it's basically scenario based.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. But the Carl Edwards and the Austin Dillon incidents, like they got turned, but when their cars were halfway up in the air, they got hit by another car that sent them up even higher. So I think the splitters on the plate tracks are making the cars too close together. And if you would take the splitter away, you would see those gaps that we used to see back in the old days. There'd be a half a car length gap between, and guys would have time to react. I think the splitters, everything being sealed to the ground, you can just be right up on another car, and it just creates those terrible situations. I mean, it's racing and it's unpredictable. There's always going to be something unexpected or unpredicted, but I think that when they introduced the splitter, it kind of ruined NASCAR.
Yeah, I agree. I do see Dale Jr.'s point when he did say that. I mean, it definitely. I don't like it. I don't like the way the racing's been over the past decade. Really, I think it's it's just not where it needs to be from a fan base standpoint. To even racing these cars in iRacing, I think there's a lot of work that can be done to improve these cars, and I think NASCAR sees all that, and they just have to be careful what they do when they make changes. So going forward, I think we'll probably see some changes, but it'll be small and over increments of time.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it now. I mean, the last 2 years when they introduced the low downforce package, they reduced the sizes of the spoilers and the splitters, and this year they've reduced the size of the splitter even more. So I think that they're heading in that direction, but it's just taking time, and they're just trying to make sure that things are going to react the way that they want them to.
Oh yeah, I mean research definitely. There's a lot of research that goes into that time, wind tunnel time, and all that. So definitely props to NASCAR. I mean they're making a safe car, or at least a safer car than they've ever had in the past. So that's a really important thing. And aside from the car maybe not handling the best, I think they're doing a great job there. So
So hopefully with the change of hands now, we'll see what this guy brings to the table, and see what direction his mindset is in. We were under, what was it, Helton for a while, so maybe this guy's got some ideas and some innovations to keep things moving forward.
They can run the All-Star race with cars from the 80s. That would be awesome.
just as long as they don't put those ugly wings back on. Good lord,
Oh,
they were
bring
ugly.
back the Thunderbird. I love those things.
So NASCAR continues to combat the inspection issues, and I know we've talked about this several times on the show. Um, they're now cracking down on teams more than ever, with penalties and fines and all that for these guys rolling these cars up to the inspection line, clearly not ready to pass inspection, and wasting NASCAR's time and their time, and causing guys not to qualify on time or at all. And it's becoming a big issue, and you see it every week. Oh well, this team, that team didn't make qualifying or pass inspection due to all these different things they're trying to sneak by. Hopefully, NASCAR seems to think that by doing this, by coming down on these guys harder than ever, that it may make a difference. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
My question is, they do a post-qualifying inspection as well. Why can't you make that inspection right after? I'm not sure if it is already, but right at the end of the last practice, that's when inspections start. And then once everybody's through, you do your qualifying, then you have your post-qualifying inspection. I'm not understanding why they have to start at a certain time as to starting right away. Letting these guys know if you don't pass post-qualifying inspection, you're starting at the back.
I think the biggest issue is post-final practice. They have a lot of time to work on their cars before they qualify, and they make a lot of changes to qualify. They get these cars sitting so low, and you see side skirts dragging the ground, sparks flying while they're qualifying. I mean, they make so much changes with air pressures. They're taped off 100%, and they're pushing the envelope as far as they possibly can. And some of them are just going over, and they keep failing inspection. And I don't understand how you can fail 3 times in a row if you know what the tolerances are. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. That they're very well-paid engineers. Probably shouldn't be failing inspection 3 times in a row. But I agree that something has to change because, like, it's just so many people. And it's not just like one group of cars now. It's everybody who's seen it several times through different manufacturers, and I just think that guys are just trying to push the envelope too far. And I think even a couple weeks ago, a car failed post-race inspection in the Xfinity series for not having a level splitter. So they're cracking down pretty hard.
Yeah, I agree. I think NASCAR has definitely become more involved with their inspections over the past, decade, and there's a lot more to it. It's and I think maybe it's not that there's a lot more to it. It's a lot more precise than it's ever been. And now they have lasers and all that measuring, and it's not just lay a template on top of the car, and it's so precise now that these cars have to be so close to these tolerances that it's causing these guys to have to fail and go back through again. And but the big question is, where's the disconnect? Are the teams not able to measure all these things properly before they get to inspection? What's going on? I mean, if somebody's gauge is not calibrated right. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that this is an ongoing thing, and it's becoming a thing, and it's amazing to me.
I think that one of the biggest problems is that the teams, when they're working on the cars in the garage, they don't have like the laser inspection system. It's basically just measuring, and then go through the inspection platform for weight, in the alignment and everything to make sure there's no skew in the rear end. I don't think that the teams have the same access to whatever NASCAR is measuring the cars with. I think whatever is in the inspection station is way more precise than the tools that they're using in the garage.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, if that's the case, then NASCAR really needs to make a change with that. I mean, unless they expect these teams to go out and buy that level of equipment to measure their cars with, I mean that's insane. Because NASCAR has been trying to cut back on costs and limit tires and this and that, and it just seems like this is just another thing in the loop that's going to end up costing somebody some money. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's not only the teams that have the issue. I think NASCAR has a lot to do with it too, with their expectations of what these teams are capable of. So moving on, guys, we have Dale Jr. Of course, he's out next year. He's retiring. Then we have Matt Kenseth that announced he's leaving Joe Gibbs Racing, and a lot of people have been talking about the possibility of Matt Kenseth maybe piloting the 88 in 2018, which I think would be kind of cool. I like Matt Kenseth. I think he's a good driver. I think he'd be a good fit over there. Hate to see Dale Jr. go away though, but it is what it is. But I think Matt Kenseth would be a really, really good driver for that team, and I think the way Matt Kenseth is, he would actually jive pretty good with the crew chief. So I don't know, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna happen, but I heard a bunch of people talking about possibility of Junior now being out. Does he take the same route as Tony Stewart, and does he bring JR or Junior Motorsports up to the Cup Series again? And there was the possibility of, do we see maybe Matt Kenseth come over there, and then having Carl Edwards possibly come back. And I think it'd be interesting to see if they get some veteran guys on a team like that and trying to make that work.
I miss Carl Edwards. I think out of all the drivers that have left NASCAR, I think I miss him the most. He was a really cool guy.
Yeah, I don't really like the way that a lot of the stuff is playing out at Joe Gibbs Racing with, I mean, those, in my opinion, those are top tier veteran drivers. Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth. I see no reason why they should have gotten rid of them, basically. And I don't think Carl Edwards retired because he wanted to retire. I think that he got forced out of that car to let a younger driver in, basically. And I think that Kenseth is in the same situation. And I think that they want to put Eric Jones in his car. It would be cool to see Matt go over and drive an 88 and have a top ride, I guess. But I think it's just kind of speculation at this point. But hopefully we hear some more about it in the future.
I love the conspiracies, man. It's always great to hear, because you see a lot of it on Facebook and everything, and everybody's got a little story. But to see Matt Kenseth go over to drive the 88, like, Joe Gibbs is a good team. They do have good equipment, fast cars. Their guys usually are on the money, and also is Hendricks. So to see him go over to a team like that, Kenseth hasn't had the best year, I don't think, so far this year. Would that light his fire and put him back to the way? Because I've always remembered Kenseth always, up front, always fighting, always, being really competitive. Like, put him in Junior's car with good equipment, with another top team. What kind of performance would come out of there?
I think that we would see what happened when he left Roush to go to Joe Gibbs Racing. He was on fire that first year. I think he won 7 races that season. And, that was just a great year for him. I think that if he left and went to the 88, I really think that we would see a lot of the same. That it would light that fire, that just competitive edge again. And I don't know. I think when you change a team like that, you just have a chip on your shoulder. Like, you just want to go out and you want to beat those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be definitely cool to see that happen. But silly season, as they call it, is fast approaching. So we're gonna definitely over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to see a lot and hear a lot, and then definitely get some more solid answers. It's going to happen one way or another. Somebody's going to fill that 88 spot. So definitely be cool to see what happens going forward.
All
right.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't want to throw a wrench in it, but what's up with Casey Kane? He, you don't really see a whole lot from him. And years ago, man, he was, on fire, man. He was, a competitive driver. It seemed like he's been having a couple of off years.
Yeah, I don't think Casey Kane is paired with the right team, the right crew chief. I think Casey Kane's a hell of a driver. I think he's just he's in the wrong place. I think he needs to move on and either try something different, or I don't know.
Maybe do like a crew chief kind of change or something, or a team change, and
yeah, exactly. Or even step out of the Cup Series for a year or so and race the Xfinity Series, and build some steam and get back into it that way.
He was an awesome driver back when he raced with Ray Evernham when they had the Dodges and everything. And it seemed like when he went to the 5 car for Hendrick, his career just went downhill. I don't
Yeah.
know if that 5 car is cursed. I mean, Mark Martin had some success in it, but the last guy that really had any success in the number 5 car was Terry Labonte, and that was a long time ago. So I don't know. It must be a 5 car curse.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's definitely the car in the stable that's had the least amount of success over the years. I don't know what's different about it. I mean, you would think that they all, share the same information, but that might be the redheaded stepchild in the in the camp. I don't know.
Yeah. I really think it all comes down to the combination of engineers, crew chief, and spotter. If you don't have the right group of guys, that they all have to click. Like they have to have this brotherhood type of feeling for it to work out. And I mean, you see it with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. The way they talk on radio, and you see Dale Jr. struggle, and you can tell the difference that like him and Greg Ives are not on the same page, and you see Junior struggle because of it. And I think a lot of the same stuff is going on with Casey Kane, and there hasn't really been any major changes on that team in a long time.
No, no, there really hasn't. And is Kenny Francis still his crew chief?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But if he has, he's been his crew chief for a long time. I want to say he's been replaced, but I'm not really sure. I'm not really up to date on him. But he really they haven't done much with that team as far as moving people around. Where like a team like Dale Jr., you've seen crew chiefs come in and out over the years, and you've seen obviously. Oh gosh, his name escapes me now. Who was Dale Jr.'s last crew chief?
Steve Letarte.
Yeah, thanks. He was paired with Steve Letarte, and they were on fire. I mean, Dale Jr. was running great, winning races, and they bring Greg Ives in, and that goes in the other direction. So, I think it has a lot to do with meshing. I think is Casey Kane unable to perform anymore? No, I don't think so. I think if he does get forced out of the Hendrick ride and gets with another good team, and just happens to get paired with the right people, I think you could see him come back.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, guys. Kyle Larson, he lost the points lead after he got I guess a rule infraction is what I'm trying to say. He got a rule infraction for, I guess, some improper ductwork inside the car that was routed to another part of the car, which exited the car in the wrong place or something to that effect. He lost. His crew chief got fined $75,000 following the race at Kentucky, and I think he got fined 35 driver points, and Chip Ganassi Racing lost 35 owner points. That's pretty serious, especially when you're getting close to the chase. Yes, he's got some wins, which is going to obviously help him along, but the 35 owner points for Chip Ganassi, that's a big deal. I know these guys race hard for owners points at the end of the year, so that's definitely going to be a blow to that team for sure. Guys, why do you think this happens? Why are we still seeing crazy stuff like this happen? I mean, we see guys pushing the envelope all the time, but to do something that blatantly obvious, it's kind of strange, isn't it?
Not really. I think with the aero dependency on these cars, that ductwork was ran to exit somewhere on purpose. It's not like they did it on accident.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So these guys know a lot about fluid dynamics and aerodynamics, and that hose was put there for a purpose, and I'm sure it gained him a huge aerodynamic advantage, which is why he marched through the field, I don't know, 20 times last week. There's been something different about him and Martin Truex. I'm waiting for them to catch something on that car because he's just been crazy fast. And there's a couple other guys that I don't know, that just doesn't seem right to me. When's the last time you saw a, I don't mean to get off topic of the Kyle Larson thing, but when Martin Truex, he had like a 18-second lead. You don't see that in this day and age with these cars. And Kyle Larson is kind of doing the same thing with just being dominant, and he's held the points lead pretty much all season.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, and that's what my point was. I mean, why air ducts and things that are really visible to the eye, and things that can be picked up on that quick. That they would try to do something like that is just amazing to me. Knowing the consequences of what could happen if they get caught. Well, I mean, obviously they're going to get caught. I mean, if you're moving ductwork around, I mean that it's not like that's going to get overlooked. It's not like something inside the frame or something that could be hidden or whatever. So it's amazing to me how these guys are really pushing the envelope that far. And how did it make it all the way to post-race inspection without being caught?
I mean, at this point in the season, the points implications aren't, it doesn't even really matter at this point. He has wins, and I think if they can push the envelope and do things that other people aren't doing and not get caught, it's an advantage because they're going to run well, they're going to finish well, and they're going to make more money doing it. So I think the consequence is not harsh enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he's still, not going to lose any of his points standings. He's still going to be locked into the chase. You know what I mean? So, it's not really. I don't know. It's just like Aaron said. It's kind of a dumb thing to do. But I know sometimes you try to do the obvious because a lot of times the obvious gets overlooked. You get so technical looking for stuff that you miss the obvious. But man, that one had a big sign on it and said, "Hey, look here."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it made it all the way to post-race inspection. I mean, why? I guess they don't look at that stuff in pre-race inspection. I don't know, but or I don't really know. It's very strange to me. But yeah, you guys bring some good points. I mean, he does have wins. Taking a chance on cheating and getting another win. Yeah, I mean, I guess the consequences, even though you're losing the points lead, it doesn't matter because he's got wins under his belt. So I mean, it's not a big deal, but yeah, it's amazing, man, what these guys will do. One more thing real quick. Oh, while we're running out of time. Paul, you want to talk about what's going on here at SoMo coming up?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say we had a little bit of a change in the truck series. Lazy Days Racing is no longer going to sponsor the truck series. They sponsored us up to this point, and we talked to Lazy Days Racing, and they felt that the truck series was something they wanted to pull out of. So we have a new sponsor for the truck series. It's Portside Land Rover, Jaguar Land Rover, and they'll continue the sponsorship on the truck series from here on out to the end of the series. Lazy Days Racing is still going to sponsor the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. So, they haven't gone anywhere, and we're appreciative of them for sponsoring us thus far. Just things didn't work out as planned in the truck series. So, we're going to get that going. But Tuesday night in the Portside Jaguar Land Rover Truck Series, we'll be at Atlanta for 125 laps. And that'll be right here live on SR Broadcasting at 8:45. And then Wednesday night, the Lazy Days Racing Xfinity Series will be live at Indianapolis for 55 laps. And that'll also be here on SR Broadcasting. And that'll be that'll be at 8:45 for 55 laps. And then Thursday night, the Lazy Days Racing Cup Series will be on PBR Broadcasting at 8:45, and that will be, I believe, for 65 laps. So be 3 nights of hard racing, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here at SoMo. And we're getting closer to the chase. I think we're at race 17 or race 16, race 17. So we're definitely getting closer down to the chase. We got a lot of guys that are locked in. We have a lot of guys still in points. So, it's still a big battle of who's going to get in, who's not going to get in, and how far we're going to get with this. So I'm excited to see how this season ends up. But it's nice to be able to have all 3 of the series up and running. And guys been doing a great job. We've been having a lot of long green flag runs lately. It seems like the racing has definitely gotten a lot better, a lot tighter, and a lot more competitive.
Yep, sure has, guys. And as always, it's a pleasure to be on here with you guys. I think it was another great show. We hope you enjoyed listening, and we'll catch you next week. Have a great night.